Commander Zethkar stood on the bridge of his massive warship, the Crimson Talon. His red eyes looked down at the small, blue planet below. Earth, another world to conquer for the mighty Valkyrie Empire. He had done this 43 times before. This would be number 40-4. The tall alien warrior touched the metal parts that replaced half his face. The implants made him stronger and faster than any normal Valkyrie. His people called him the Iron Fist of the Empire. For 30 years, he had never lost a single battle. Today would be no different. "Commander," said his second officer, "the humans have detected our ships. They are sending messages." His voice was deep and scary. "Let me hear what these primitive creatures have to say." A voice came through the ship's speakers. It was a human male, speaking in their strange language. The ship's computer translated the words. "This is Admiral Jack Peterson of Earth Defense. You are not welcome here. Leave our system immediately, or we will defend ourselves." The bridge. The crew of aliens laughed together. Zethkar's laugh was the loudest. Defend themselves? With what? Their metal tubes that shoot small pieces of metal? He turned to his weapons officer. "Show them real power. Destroy one of their moon bases." A bright beam of energy shot from the Crimson Talon. The human base on the moon disappeared in a flash of light. The human communications went silent for several minutes. When the humans spoke again, their voice was different, scared. "We surrender. Please don't hurt our people." But Zethkar was not interested in surrender. "No. You will serve the Empire, or you will die. Begin the invasion." Thousands of Valkyrie ships moved toward Earth like angry wasps. Their weapons lit up. The dark space around the planet, human ships tried to fight back, but their weapons bounced off Valkyrie shields. Like raindrops on glass, Zethkar put on his red battle armor. It was covered in scars from many wars. Each scar told the story of another world that had fallen to his power. Soon, Earth would add new scars to his armor. The first landing ships hit the ground in New York City. Zethkar was in the first wave. He wanted to see the fear in human eyes when they looked at him. He wanted to watch their hope die, Lieutenant. Jake Morrison stood with his soldiers on the Brooklyn Bridge. They had rocket launchers and machine guns. Jake had fought in 3 wars on Earth, but he had never seen anything like the alien ships that now filled the sky. "Hold the line," Jake shouted to his men. "Don't let them cross the bridge." The first Valkyrie soldiers came running across the bridge. They were 8 feet tall and covered in red armor that seemed to glow. Their weapons shot bolts of blue energy that could cut through tank armor like paper. Jake's men opened fire. Their bullets hit the aliens but did nothing. The Valkyrie kept coming. One by one, Jake's soldiers fell. The energy weapons burned through their bodies like they were made of paper. Then Zethkar appeared. He was bigger than the other aliens. His armor was darker red, almost black. His metal face parts made him look like a machine of death. In his hands was a weapon that looked like a sword made of pure energy. Jake pointed his rifle at the alien commander and pulled the trigger. The bullets hit Zethkar in the chest. The alien didn't even slow down. He walked through the gunfire like it was rain. "You fight well for a primitive," Zethkar said in perfect English. His voice came from speakers in his armor. "But you fight. For nothing, your world belongs to the Empire now." Ow. Jake dropped his empty rifle and pulled out his pistol. "We'll never stop fighting you." Zethkar moved faster than Jake could see. The energy sword cut through Jake's arm. The human soldier fell to his knees, screaming in pain. But he didn't beg. He didn't cry for mercy. He just looked up at Zethkar, with hate in his eyes. "Interesting," the alien commander said. "Most species beg by now." The battle for New York lasted 6 hours. When it was over, the city was burning. Human bodies covered the streets. But the humans had fought harder than Zethkar expected. His forces had taken more damage than usual. 3 days later, Zethkar stood in the Centers for Disease Control in Atlanta. His soldiers had captured many human scientists. One of them was Dr. Lisa Carter, a woman who studied alien life forms. She was small and weak-looking, but her eyes burned with anger. "You will help us understand human biology," Zethkar told her. "We need to know the best ways to use your species as workers." Dr. Carter spit in his face. Go to hell, you metal. Freak. Zethkar wiped the spit away. It killed beings for much less. But something about this small human interested him. You know you cannot win. Your weapons are useless against us. Your ships are destroyed. Why do you still resist? Because we're human, Lisa said. We don't know how to quit. Zethkar studied her face. Fear was there, but not surrender. Every other species he had conquered had broken by now. Humans were different somehow. Over the next 6 months, Zethkar's forces took control of Earth's major cities. They built processing centers where humans were sorted like animals. Strong ones would work in mines and factories. The smart ones would maintain Volcari technology. The rest would be eliminated, but the humans kept fighting. Small groups attacked Valkyrie patrols in the night. They used bombs hidden in buildings. They poisoned food supplies meant for alien soldiers. Every day brought new attacks. Captain Ben Torres led one of these groups. He had been a police officer before the invasion. Now he and his team called themselves the Iron Wolves. They struck fast and disappeared into the ruins of the city before the Valkyrie could respond. Zethkar received daily reports of these attacks. At first he wasn't worried. All conquered species went through this phase. Soon the humans would realize it was hopeless. They would accept their fate as slaves of the Empire. But weeks turned into months, and the attacks got worse, not better. The humans were learning, they were adapting, they studied captured Valkyrie weapons and found new ways to fight. Standing in the ruins of Washington, D.C., Zethkar planted the red flag of the Valkyrie Empire on top of the broken Capitol building. His forces controlled all the major cities. Human governments had collapsed. By all measures, Earth was conquered, yet something felt wrong. The humans in the camps didn't act like broken slaves. They watched everything. They'd listened to everything. They were planning something. Zethkar looked out over the smoking city and felt something he hadn't felt in 30 years of war. Doubt. These humans were not like other species. They had something that worried him, though he couldn't name what it was. He pushed the feeling away. He was Zethkar, the iron fist of the Empire. He had conquered 43 worlds. One small planet full of primitive apes would not be his first. Defeat? The human resistance would break soon enough. He had no idea that he had just made the biggest mistake of his very long life. The humans weren't planning to surrender. They were planning to win. 6 months had passed since the Valkyrie Empire planted their flag on Earth. Commander, Zethkar, expected the human resistance to be dying by now. Instead, it was growing stronger every day. This made no sense to him. The reports on his desk told a story he didn't want to believe. 15 Valkyrie patrols had been destroyed in the last week alone. Supply convoys were being attacked with weapons that shouldn't exist. The humans were using Valkyrie technology against them. But they had changed it somehow. Zhao walked through the prison levels of his command center. Dr. Lisa Carter was still alive, still refusing to help. But he noticed she watched everything. Her eyes followed every Valkyrie soldier, every piece of equipment, every security measure. She was learning. You study us, Zethkar said to her one day. Why? You cannot escape. Lisa looked up from her small cell. 6 months of captivity had made her thin, but her eyes still burned with hatred. I'm a scientist. I study things that interest me. And we interest you? Cockroaches interest me too. Doesn't mean I like them. Zethkar felt anger rise in his chest. This tiny human dared to insult him. Any other being would be dead for such words. But something stopped him from killing her. He needed to understand what made humans so different. In the ruins of Chicago, Captain Ben Torres and his Iron Wolves were planning their biggest attack yet. They had been watching a Valkyrie weapons depot for weeks. Ben had been a police officer before the invasion. He knew how to watch and wait. The guards change every 4 hours, he told his team. They always take the same path. We have a 10-minute window when the north side is unguarded. Sergeant Rick Barnes studied the hand-drawn map. Rick had been a demolitions expert in the army. Once we're inside, I can rig the whole place to blow. Take out their weapons and ammunition. No, Ben said. We're not just destroying it. Taking what we can use, the team looked confused. Mary Johnson, who had been a computer programmer, spoke up. Ben, their weapons don't work for us. Rick, the triggers are made for alien hands. Then we make them work for us, Ben replied. Rick, you know machines. Mary, you know computers. We figure it out. That night the Iron Wolves struck. They moved like shadows through the ruined streets. The Valkyrie guards never saw them coming. Within minutes, the humans had control of the depot. Rick studied a Valkyrie energy rifle. The weapon was twice the size of a human gun, but the basic parts were familiar. It's just a battery, a focusing crystal, and a trigger mechanism, he whispered. We can make this smaller. Mary found the depot's computer system. The Valkyrie. Language was strange, but computer code followed logical patterns. I think I can figure out how to reprogram these, she said. They worked for 3 hours, taking what they could carry and learning what they couldn't take. When they left, the depot was still standing. But they had stolen something more valuable than weapons. They had stolen knowledge. Meanwhile, in a secret laboratory hidden beneath the ruins of Atlanta, Dr. Lisa Carter wasn't the only human scientist studying their captors. Dr. Allen Brooks had been working on medical research when the invasion began. Dr. Susan Walsh had been designing computer chips. Together, they had discovered something important. The metal parts in their bodies, Allen explained to the group. They're connected to their nervous systems. But the connections use electrical signals. Susan nodded. And electrical signals can be disrupted. I've been studying the radio waves in this building. The Valkyrie use a very specific frequency for their implants. If we could overload that frequency, Lisa said, understanding where this was going, we could disable their implants. Exactly. But we'd need a massive transmitter, something that could reach across entire cities. Lisa smiled for the first time in months. Like the television and radio stations that are still standing, humans began to plan. It would take time to build the equipment they needed. They had to be careful. If the Valkyrie discovered what they were doing, they would all be killed. But hope was spreading among the prisoners. Word passed quietly from cell to cell, from work gang to work gang. The humans had found a way to fight back. Zethkar was growing frustrated. His military victories meant nothing if he couldn't control the population. The humans refused to break. They worked slowly. They sabotaged equipment. They helped prisoners escape. Worse, his own soldiers were getting nervous. Valkyrie warriors were supposed to be fearless, but fear was creeping into their ranks. They had lost too many friends to human attacks. They jumped at shadows. They saw enemies everywhere. Commander, his intelligence officer, reported the humans are coordinating somehow. These attacks are too organized to be random. Then find their leaders and kill them, Zethkar growled. We try, sir. But when we capture one leader, 2 more appear. When we destroy one resistance cell, 3 new ones form. It's like fighting smoke. Zethkar studied the map of Earth on his wall. Red pins marked Valkyrie-controlled areas. Black pins marked resistance activity. There were far too many black pins. In Boston, Major Kate Reynolds was preparing for what she knew would be her last mission. She had been a fighter pilot before the invasion. Now, she led a group of engineers and soldiers who had found the main Valkyrie communication hub for the eastern coast. If we take this out, she told her team, their forces won't be able to coordinate. But it's a suicide mission. None of us are coming back. Her team looked at her with grim determination. They were all volunteers. They all had families who had died in the invasion. They all wanted revenge. The attack began at dawn. Kate's team fought their way through 3 levels of Valkyrie guards. Energy weapons cut down human soldiers one by one. But they kept coming. For every human who fell, another took their place. Kate reached the communication center with only 2 soldiers left alive. Rick Martinez, a young Marine, and old Army veteran Frank Wilson. They planted explosives while Kate held off the remaining guards. 30 seconds, Rick shouted. A Valkyrie energy bolt hit Frank in the chest. He fell but kept working on the last. Bomb. Tell my kids I kept my promise, he whispered as the light faded from his eyes. The explosion shook the entire building. The communication hub went silent. Across the eastern coast of America, Valkyrie forces lost contact with their commanders. That same day, Dr. Carter's plan went into action. Hidden transmitters activated in 50 cities across the world. Radio and television towers that the Valkyrie had ignored suddenly broadcast a new signal. It was designed to overload the frequency used by Valkyrie implants in his command center. Zethkar was reading reports when the world changed. Alarms began screaming. His officers fell to the floor, clutching their heads. The metal parts in their bodies sparked and smoked. Zethkar felt his own implants burning. The pain was incredible. His enhanced strength faded. His computer-assisted reflexes disappeared. For the first time in 30 years, he felt weak. All across the planet, Valkyrie soldiers collapsed. Their advanced armor became heavy metal suits. Their energy weapons stopped working. Their shields failed, and the humans attacked. They came from everywhere at once. From the ruins of cities, from hidden bunkers, from secret bases in the mountains, they had been waiting for this moment. They had been preparing. Ben Torres and his Iron Wolves struck 3 Valkyrie bases in Chicago in 1 hour. They used the modified alien weapons they had built. They moved with military precision that surprised even themselves. Jake Morrison, the lieutenant who had lost his arm defending Brooklyn Bridge, now led an entire army of human soldiers. His missing arm had been replaced with a mechanical one. Built from Valkyrie technology, commanded the assault on New York with cold efficiency. Zethkar watched his empire crumble on a dozen screens. His invincible forces were being destroyed by the very species he had thought was weak. The primitive humans had turned his own technology against him. Possible, he whispered as he watched human fighters flying captured Valkyrie ships destroy his orbital platforms. This is impossible, but it was happening. The tide of war had turned in a single day. The hunters had become the hunted. And Zethkar, for the first time in his long life, felt something he had never experienced before: fear. The war ended faster than anyone thought possible. Once the Valkyrie implants failed, their advantage disappeared completely. What had taken them 6 months to conquer, the humans reclaimed in 6 weeks. Colonel Greg Hamilton stood in the command center that had once belonged to Zethkar. Greg had been a military advisor before the invasion. Now he commanded the largest human army in history. Around him, his officers planned the final assault on the remaining Valkyrie strongholds. "Sir," reported Captain Danny Rodriguez, "we've cleared sectors 7 through 12. No Valkyrie survivors." Greg nodded grimly. The humans weren't taking prisoners anymore. Aliens had come to enslave or kill humanity. Now humanity was returning the favor. Admiral Patricia Stone coordinated the space battles from her flagship, converted Valkyrie cruiser. Pat had commanded submarines before the invasion. Learning to fight in space had been difficult, but she was a fast learner. Her fleet was hunting down the last alien ships trying to escape Earth's orbit. "Target the engines first," she ordered her gun crews. "Don't let any of them get away." On the ground, Lieutenant Sam Cooper moved through the ruins of Zethkar's command center with his assault team. Sam's family had died in the first week of the invasion. He had been hunting Valkyrie officers ever since, and his reputation for cruelty was known throughout the resistance. Found another one hiding in the storage room, called out Sergeant Beth Williams. She dragged a wounded Valkyrie soldier into the hallway. Sam looked down at the alien. It was young, probably new to war. Its implants were burned out, and it was bleeding from several wounds. "Please," it said in broken English, "I surrender. I want to live." "So did my daughter," Sam replied, and pulled the trigger. Deep in the building, Zethkar heard the gunshots getting closer. His once mighty armor was now just heavy metal that slowed him down. His weapons were dead. His implants felt like burning metal in his flesh. He had tried to contact his fleet for evacuation, but the Empire had already written him off. The great Zethkar, conqueror of 43 worlds, was now considered dead by his own people. They had moved their ships far from Earth and declared the mission a total failure. The shame was worse than the fear. In Valkyrie culture, a commander who lost a war was worse than dead. Even if he somehow escaped Earth, he would face execution when he returned home. His name would be erased from all records. His victories would be forgotten. But first he had to survive the next few hours. Dr. Lisa Carter walked through the same command center she had been imprisoned in for almost a year. She was free now, and she led a team of scientists studying captured Valkyrie technology, where months of observation were paying off. The power source for their ships, she explained to Dr. Alan Brooks, it's incredibly efficient. We could power entire cities with one of these reactors. And their medical technology, Alan added, they can regrow lost limbs and organs. Imagine what we could do with that knowledge. Lisa nodded, but her expression was cold. We'll learn everything they know, and we'll use it against the rest of their empire. The humans weren't just winning the war. They were evolving. Every piece of Valkyrie technology they captured made them stronger. Every battle taught them new tactics. They were becoming something the galaxy had never seen before. In the forests of Canada, tracker Mary Blackfeather studied the ground with expert eyes. Mary's grandfather had taught her to hunt when she was a child. Now she used those skills too. Hunt something much more dangerous than deer. He came through here 2 days ago, she told the soldiers with her. He's moving north, staying off the roads. He's learning. The trail belonged to Zethkar. He had escaped his command center just before Sam Cooper's team arrived, but he couldn't hide from someone who had been tracking animals her whole life. His stride is getting shorter, Mary observed. He's tired. His armor is too heavy for long-distance travel. We'll catch him soon. But Zethkar was learning too. He had survived 30 years of war by being smart as well as strong. Began using streams to hide his tracks. He moved at night and slept during the day. He even started removing pieces of his armor to move faster. The great commander was becoming a refugee in his own conquered territory. Danny Rodriguez led the main hunting party. Danny had been a police detective before the invasion. Knew how to track criminals, and to him, Zethkar was just another criminal who needed to be caught. He's heading for the old mining towns, Danny told his team. Lots of places to hide up there. But that also means lots of places to trap him. They found evidence of Zethkar's presence in an abandoned cabin. Alien blood on the floor showed where he had tried to treat his wounds. Food containers revealed that he was scavenging from human supplies. Look at this, said Private Mike Turner, holding up a piece of Valkyrie armor. He's throwing away pieces of his equipment. It's getting desperate. Danny studied the armor piece. It was from Zethkar's left shoulder, decorated with medals from his past victories. The fact that he was abandoning his awards showed how far he had fallen. Meanwhile, human civilization was rebuilding faster than anyone expected. The Valkyrie had destroyed cities, but left most factories and farms intact. They had needed human workers. So they couldn't destroy everything. Now those same facilities were being converted to produce human-designed weapons using alien technology. The species that had barely reached their own moon was now building starships that could travel between galaxies. General Jake Morrison, the former lieutenant who had lost his arm at Brooklyn Bridge, stood before the United Nations. Mechanical arm gleamed in the lights as he addressed the world's leaders. The Valkyrie Empire thinks Earth is defeated, he said. They think we're no longer a threat. They're wrong. We're going to take this war to them. The delegates cheered. Humanity wasn't content to just survive anymore. They wanted revenge on a galactic scale. Back in the Canadian wilderness, Zethkar made a desperate decision. He would try to contact a human settlement and surrender. Perhaps they would show mercy to a defeated enemy. Perhaps they would trade his knowledge for his life. He chose a small farming community in a valley surrounded by mountains. The people there looked peaceful. They had children playing in the fields. Surely they would be more merciful than thee. Soldiers hunting him. Joe Collins was working in his barn when the alien appeared. Joe had lost his brother in the invasion, but he was a practical man. He looked at the broken figure and ruined armor and saw an opportunity. Please, Zethkar said, using the few human words he had learned. I surrender. I give up. Don't kill me. Joe pretended to consider this. You're that commander everyone's looking for, aren't you? The one with the big reward on his head. Zethkar felt hope for the first time in weeks. Yes, I am Zethkar. Can give you information. I can help you. Joe nodded slowly. You can help me all right? You can help me get rich. While Joe kept Zethkar talking, his daughter Emma, quietly used their radio to contact the authorities. Within an hour, the area was surrounded by human soldiers. Zethkar realized he had been tricked when he saw the weapons pointed at him. The humans hadn't shown mercy. They had shown cunning. Even their farmers were part of the hunt. As the soldiers closed in, Zethkar understood something terrible. He wasn't just being hunted by human armies. He was being hunted by the entire human species. Every man, woman, and child on Earth wanted him captured. The great conqueror had become the most hated being on the planet. And there was nowhere left to run. Sam Cooper arrived with the captured team. He looked down at the alien who had caused so much death and destruction. Zethkar was on his knees, finally defeated. "You wanted to rule us," Sam said quietly. "No. You get to learn what it feels like to be powerless." As they put chains on his arms and legs, Zethkar looked up at the sky one last time. Somewhere up there, his own people had forgotten him. Down here, the humans would never forget what he had done. The hunter had become the hunted. And the hunt was finally over. 2 years had passed since Zethkar's capture. The once mighty commander of the Valkyrie Empire now lived in a concrete cell deep underground. The humans had built this prison specifically for him. It was escape-proof, soundproof, and completely isolated from the outside world. But they didn't want him to forget what was happening above. Every day, guards would bring him reports about Earth's progress. Every day, he learned how his defeat had changed everything. Dr. Lisa Carter visited him once a month. She was now the head of the Global Defense Initiative, Earth's new military organization. Her job was to prepare humanity for the war they would soon take to the stars. "Your people made a mistake when they came here," she told him during one visit. "They thought we were weak because we looked primitive. They didn't understand that humans don't break. We adapt." Zethkar sat in his chair, staring at the floor. His once proud armor was gone. He wore simple gray clothes that made him look like any other prisoner. His metal implants had been removed by human doctors. Without them, he looked old and tired. "What do you want from me today?" he asked, without looking up. "Information about Valkyrie homeworlds," Lisa replied. "Ship designs, military tactics, weaknesses in your empire's defenses. I have told you everything already." "No, you haven't. But that's okay. We're patient. We have time." And they did have time. The human space program had grown incredibly fast, using captured Valkyrie technology.
How?
Ships that would have taken decades to build were now being completed in months. The first human fleet would launch next year. Captain Tony Mitchell flew patrol missions around Earth every day. Tony had been a commercial pilot before the invasion. Now he commanded a squadron of hybrid fighters that used both human and alien technology. The ships were faster and more powerful than anything the Valkyrie had ever built. "Control, this is Sky Leader," he reported during a routine flight. "I'm seeing 3 unidentified contacts entering the solar system." The contacts turned out to be Valkyrie scout ships, probably sent to check on Earth. They found something they didn't expect. Human fighters that could match their speed and firepower. The battle lasted 15 minutes. All 3 alien ships were destroyed. None of the human fighters were even damaged. Tony flew past the wreckage and smiled. "Welcome to Earth," he said, into his radio. Population, very angry humans. In his underground cell, Zethkar heard about the battle through his daily briefing. 3 more Valkyrie ships destroyed. 3 more crews that would never return home. Humans were becoming exactly what he had feared they might become. Dr. Frank Turner, the prison's chief psychologist, studied Zethkar carefully. Frank had spent 2 years watching the alien's mind break down piece by piece. It was fascinating from a scientific standpoint. "He's developed severe anxiety," Frank explained to his colleague, Dr. Helen Ross. "Any sudden noise makes him panic. He's afraid of children's voices because human children fought in the war. He can't sleep more than 2 hours at a time." "Classic symptoms of trauma," Helen agreed. "But there's something else. He's not just afraid of dying, he's afraid of what humanity is becoming." They were right. Zethkar spent his days thinking about the reports he received. Humans were now building weapons that made Valkyrie technology look primitive. They were developing military tactics that no alien species had ever imagined. Worst of all, they were spreading. Human colony ships were already heading to nearby star systems, not to explore or trade, but to build military bases. Earth was preparing for a war that would span the entire galaxy. One day, a new prisoner arrived. At the facility, it was a Valkyrie spy who had been caught trying to infiltrate human governments. The spy was young and scared, nothing like the proud warriors who had invaded Earth. "Commander Zethkar," the spy whispered when he saw the former. "War hero, is that really you?" Zethkar looked at the young alien with tired eyes. "I am no longer a commander. I am just a prisoner." "But sir, the Empire needs you. Our forces are being defeated everywhere. The humans are attacking our colonies with ships we don't understand. They fight like demons and show no mercy." Zethkar felt a chill run through his body. It was happening just as he had feared. Humanity wasn't content to defend their own world. They were taking the war to the Volcari Empire. "How many systems have fallen?" he asked quietly. 17, sir. Maybe more by now. They move so fast, and they learn from every battle. Time we think we understand their tactics, they change them. The spy leaned closer. "Sir, they don't just defeat our forces. They study everything. They take our technology and make it better. They question our prisoners until they know all our secrets. Then they use that knowledge to attack the next system." Amy Peterson brought her class of third-grade students to the prison for an educational visit. Amy had been teaching when the invasion began. She had kept her students safe by hiding them in the school basement for 3 days while the battle raged above. Now she taught them about the war as part of their history lessons. The children knew about Zethkar, but to them he wasn't a terrifying alien conqueror. He was just another part of their past, like learning about old wars their grandfathers had fought. "This is the alien commander who tried to take over our planet," Amy explained to her students as they looked through the bulletproof glass of his cell. 8-year-old. "Miss Peterson, why does he look so sad?" "'Cause he lost Bobby, and because he learned that humans are much stronger than he thought we were." Little Sarah Martinez pressed her face against the glass. "He's not very scary," she said. "My dad said these aliens were supposed to be really dangerous." Zethkar heard every word. These children had been born during or after the war. To them, the mighty Valkyrie Empire was just a story their parents told them. They weren't afraid of aliens. They were curious about them. That terrified him more than any. Weapon could. General Jake Morrison visited the prison on the 2nd anniversary of Earth's victory. Jake now commanded humanity's space forces. His mechanical arm had been upgraded, with technology that made it stronger than his original limb. "We're launching the first attack fleet next month," he told Zethkar. 50 ships carrying 30,000 human soldiers. They're going to visit your home system. Zethkar looked up with horror. "You cannot attack Volcara Prime. It is defended by 1,000 ships." Jake smiled coldly. "Was defended. Our spy told us all about those defenses. We've been planning this attack for 2 years. You don't understand? If you attack our homeworld, you will unite every Volcari against you. Billions of warriors will come for Earth." "Let them come," Jake replied. "We'll be ready." As Jake left, Zethkar realized the full scope of what his invasion had accomplished. He hadn't conquered humanity. He had awakened something that had been sleeping. It turned a peaceful species into the most dangerous force the galaxy had ever seen. Late at night, alone in his cell, Zethkar would listen to the sounds of the prison. Guards walking their rounds, machines humming in the walls, and sometimes faintly, The sound of children playing in the yard above his cell. Those children would grow up in a world where humanity ruled the stars. They would be soldiers and scientists, and explorers who would spread across the galaxy like their ancestors had spread across Earth. They would carry with them the memory of what the Valkar Empire had tried to do to their planet, and they would never forgive. Dr. Carter visited him one last time before the attack fleet launched. "Your empire called us primitive," she said. "They thought our technology was weak. They thought our spirits could be broken. They were wrong about everything." She placed a photograph on the table between them, showed a human city that had been rebuilt using alien technology. Towers of glass and metal reached toward the sky. Ships that could travel between stars filled the spaceport. "This is what you created when you attacked us," she said. "You wanted to conquer Earth. Instead, you gave us the tools and the motivation to conquer everything else." Zethkar stared at the photograph. The city was beautiful and terrible at the same time. It represented everything his people had feared about other species becoming too powerful. "You have become the very thing my empire tried to prevent," he whispered. "Yes," Dr. Carter agreed. "And it's all thanks to you." As she left, Zethkar understood his true punishment. He wouldn't just live to see his empire fall. He would live knowing that he was the one who had caused it to happen. Every human victory, every Valkyrie defeat, every system that fell to Earth's expanding fleets would be his responsibility. The great conqueror had become the architect of his own people's destruction. There was nothing he could do but sit in his cell and wait for the reports of humanity's next victory. Above his head, children played and laughed, growing up in a world where humans feared nothing. They were the future of the galaxy now, and that future belonged to humanity.